I'm about to tell you the saddest story you're ever going to hear, but it does have a happy ending. But in order to tell the story properly, I'm going to need a coffee. So let's get one.
Hiya.
Oh, you're right. Can I get a medium Americano with some oat milk in, please?
Yeah, of course.
Drinking, please.
Drinking, yeah. With oat milk, please.
I've got a gift card. Can I use
Yeah,
that?
of course. Do you have the app at all?
I do not. Right, first of all, I'm going to give myself kudos, right? Because I'm filming this in the middle of a cafe, which is horrible for me. I'm pretty confident in front of like 200 people. If you put me in front of a lot of people, I can talk. But if you put me out in a public place, my tolerance for embarrassment is very, very low. So generally when you see me filming it in public, I'll be like out in the forest somewhere. And the reason for that is, I kind of claim the reason is that I'm connecting with nature, and that's partly true. But the real reason is that there's just nobody around, and therefore I can talk freely without being embarrassed. It's a funny thing, man. There's certain things that I just struggle to do. Things like making phone calls, knocking on doors to get parcels. My anxiety level with that stuff is very high. But anyway, part of the challenge of this year and making 2025 more transformational is to be braver with this kind of stuff. So here I am in a cafe recording this vlog, and I promise you the saddest story ever told. And in order to do that, I've got to take you all the way back to the late 80s, the very late 80s. It's almost the end of the 80s, in fact, and what I would describe as a last-ditch attempt to save a marriage. And that last-ditch attempt to save a marriage resulted in me, Baby Charm, the original Baby Charm. Almost 35 years, 36 years ago now, I was born, and a whole series of events led me up to the point where in my mid-30s I would lose my job, and instead of continuing in the rat race, continuing in that kind of high-paid, high levels of unhappiness, limited freedom, working for people who I didn't really like, instead of carrying on with that, I made the decision to refine my passion for creativity. So that's what I did. And the passion for creativity at that time coincided with me gaming a lot more. So streaming felt like a natural thing. But as I started to do it, I discovered that the stuff that I really enjoyed, and really in the last couple of months, what I really enjoyed is making these longer form videos. There's something that is really rewarding about posting videos that are longer, more considered. There's more of a story arc to them. There's just more effort that goes into it, and therefore, you know, the bigger the effort, the bigger the reward on the other end. I've had videos go viral that are 30 seconds long, and it's like a sugar high. You get very, very, very happy, and then it's like gone very quickly, and you're just looking for the next high. Whereas these longer videos feel like there's a much more sustained reward with it. Anyway, the result of me streaming is that I started to create more of these videos and built up more equipment, cameras like the one that you see me filming on now, lighting, microphones, etc, etc, etc. The one thing I didn't have was a drone, and a couple of days ago I turned 36, it was my birthday. And I woke up in the morning, Baby Charm, new Baby Charm, was in the bed next to me. Mrs. Charm was already up, and she said, "Do you want to open your presents?" Baby Charm likes to open the presents with me. She just likes opening presents whether they're hers or not. So I said, "Yeah, of course." So I opened the presents. I got into bed, opened the presents, got a beautiful new bracelet, And as I unwrapped Mrs. Charm's present to me, lo and behold, it was a drone. Yes. All of these shots that I had in my head, all of these visions of things, wouldn't it be great if, wouldn't it be amazing if I could do this? Beautiful sweeping shots of the landscape, these big nature walks that I go on, imagine sweeping down and zooming in on Charm, imagine a drone hovering there and me speaking to it and then it flying off into the distance and getting all of the beauty of the nature. And it's really hard to capture some of the locations that I go to. So a drone is perfect for that. So I was super excited. Mrs. Charm gets annoying because generally speaking at home, I know on stream I'm quite excitable and quite effervescent and quite bubbly. And I am like that sometimes. I'm very up and down. But at home, I don't know whether it's a man thing. My brother-in-law's the same. We don't really show a big level of hype. So, if I get a present, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I really appreciate it. That's it. But I'm not screaming and shouting. It's not an episode of Jerry Springer. I'm not like whooping and hollering. I'm not Tom Cruise pronouncing his love on Oprah. That's not what's happening with me. So, but this is the first present I've had in ages where I've genuinely I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited. So I set it all up, charge it all up. I don't let my excitement get the best of me. I wait for it to fully charge. I'll go through some of the learning stuff on the app. It's a DJI Mini 4K. I'll go all through all the learning stuff, etc., and I'm ready for my first flight. And it's at the moment of the first flight that I realise how scary it is to fly the drone. Do you know how many of these videos I've seen of these like DJI audits, DJ audits, whatever they're called? These guys who claim to go and we want to film your roof and stuff, but really their content is all about the controversy of them dealing with the public when they're flying their drone. And them being obstinate and being difficult with police, being difficult with members of the public, etc., etc. So I already know quite a bit about what I'm able to do with drones legally and stuff, what size it has to be, just from watching these videos, although I don't like the way that they deal with people at all. So I get ready for my first flight. I get Mrs. Charm out, I want to experience it together, get it all set up, and we're in my back garden. And I hover it up, fly it around for a bit, bring it back down, it's all good. But I experience a level of panic that this piece of equipment is in the sky, hundreds of meters away from me. I'm scared, terrified that it's going to crash, that I'm going to lose it, that it's going to be over. That'll be it. That's the end of drone time for Charm. Luckily, I've got insurance on this drone, right? I bought the DJI Care, but that's not without cost. If I want to replace a drone, I can get it replaced. Even if the drone flies away, I can get it replaced. But it's not without cost, and I'm not flush with cash at the moment. So we fly in the garden. It's all fine. Mrs. Charm goes back inside. My brother-in-law comes over later. I show him. I fly it around a little bit, but just low in the garden, not going anywhere mental, keeping it safe, etc., etc. I'm still not 100% positive on what I'm doing. In my head, I'm thinking I need a big open field where there is no one to disturb me, and I can just go and fly it around. So that was the original plan. Obviously, I'm too excitable, so I go out in my garden again, and I try some of the drone has these automatic shots that you can get. There's one where it rockets away from you. There's one where it spins around a subject. There's loads of different things you can do with it. So I go to the garden. I should preface this by saying the drone, this particular drone, doesn't have any sensors. It's a great model, films in 4K, but one of the things it doesn't have is some of the sensors around it. So anyway, I'm out in the garden, and I think, I'll try this one where it rockets away from you. So I'll bring it up to about this level, it's hovering, looking at my face, and then I activate it, and it starts to fly away from me. And as it starts to fly away, I'm filled with panic. Every metre it gets away from me, it's like a new child that I've got, and every metre that it gets away from me, the more my panic increases. It skims the top of my streaming cabin and keeps going. And it's going towards my back neighbour's house. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's going to hit the roof, man. It's so close to the roof. Anyway, it gets to the top. As it gets, I see it's going above the roof. I'm like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. But I just panic and I stop the drone. And then I press the button to recall it home. Bearing in mind, at this point, I haven't recharged the drone since I first started using it. And these things only have about 30 minutes of flight time. So I've already used it twice. This is my third time using it. It rockets up into the sky. I'm like, oh my God. Where's it gone? So I'm panicking. I've pressed the return to home button. It's supposed to come back to me, but it doesn't seem to be. It just seems to be going higher into the sky. Its aim seems to be like Icarus, to escape me, to get to the sun. Maybe my drone has been infested with moths, and those moths are using it as a kind of craft to get to the biggest light source they can to get all the way to the sun. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, I'm panicking. It doesn't seem to be coming back down. I decide to manually try and bring it back down. At this point, the low battery thing, it's like, come, bring this back immediately. The battery is critically low. Bring the drone back now. Bring it down. So I'm desperately trying to bring it down before the battery dies and it just falls out of the sky and my brand new Preston is wrecked. Thankfully, I'll bring it to a safe landing. The panic subsides and we move on. Now, some of you may know that me and Mrs. Charm got married about 6 or 7 months ago. And one of the gifts that we got when we got married was an overnight stay at a really beautiful location. In fact, it's a location that I grew up near and spent a lot of time around, but I'd never stayed at the hotel there. Just wonderful, and it's like, it is the epitome of like what you would want to see in a drone shot. It felt like the perfect place to test this out. So we had booked this wedding gift where we were staying overnight. It was an overnight stay. We had arranged for my sister to have baby Charm, and we had like coincided it with my birthday weekend. So we'd had the birthday at home together on the Friday, had a nice lunch, nice dinner together, and then we were going for an overnight stay on the Saturday. Nice meal, nice overnight stay, bit of relaxation. And it all so happened that, I got the drone and it was the perfect location for me to go and try this drone out. So anyway, me and Mrs. Charm drop off baby Charm, and then we have a tradition that we tend to go to like an arcade or something when we're on our own, turn into kids again. We go to an arcade, we play the basketball game. We actually want to play bowling and a bit of pool and played on the arcades. You'll be glad to know that I won every single whatever we played, I was winning, left, right and centre. Don't let Mrs. Charm tell you that she beat me at anything. I won. That's important to know. And then once we're finished there, we make our way to the hotel. We go to the hotel, we check in, and the very first thing we do once we're checked in is go, we've still got a little bit of daylight left, should we go and give the drone a try? So we go outside, there's this beautiful big country park. This place that we're staying at is an old monastery, like an old Buddhist abbey. Not Buddhist, sorry, an old abbey where monks would stay. There's lots of history behind it. There's kings have stayed there on their way back from battles in medieval times. It's just great. I'd planned to do this whole vlog around it. I'm playing Kingdom Come Deliverance at the moment. It just fit in perfectly, and I was going to get beautiful drone shots of the surrounding area. So we go outside, and the reason I'm talking earlier about my confidence with doing things in public is flying a drone is exactly the kind of thing that would fill me with dread if I was doing it around public. I'd hate to inconvenience other people. I'd hate to make them feel like I'm an inconvenience, and I don't want to be the guy who's confrontational like these audit guys are, like these drone flyers are, where they love to have the argument with people. They love to roll people up. I just want to do it peacefully. I want to get beautiful cinematography, and I want to fly the drone. So anyway, Mrs. Charm's with me, which is always a great time for me to like push my comfort zone because she's there to support me. she's there to help me out. We go out. We're going to go around the front of the hotel. There's a beautiful kind of maze, like hedge maze out the front, and get like a big sweeping shot of the hotel. But instead of going around the front, Mrs. Charm says, quite rightly suggests, oh look, we're around the side of the hotel here, but we can access the front of the hotel. Why don't we take off here? There's not any people here, and it's going to be less pressure on you, and you can just take your time with it. I was like, perfect. Put it on the grass, launch it, fly it forward towards the hotel, over the water. It looks amazing. So we do that, and I get it at a height where I think, yeah, we're kind of at a nice height to get the kind of shot that I've got in my head. And instead of flying it manually, I think, let me use one of these automatic shots that I can get where it will like spiral around the hotel and focus on a specific subject. So let me do that, and then we can land the drone and we're all good. So I'll get it at a good height, and I start the shot, and it starts moving sideways, and it's centered on the hotel. It looks beautiful. And there's this thing that I'm trying to get my head around, and again, maybe I need to watch some tutorials to get a bit better at understanding how to fly the drone, but it's like, do I look at the screen that the camera's seeing, or do I look up at the drone? I know I'm not supposed to lose sight of it, but, you know, that's what I'm doing. I'm switching between the two. So it starts doing this thing, I'm looking at the screen, it looks amazing. And then I look up and I'm like, oh, the drone is just kind of going out of sight. I just can't quite see it. So I start walking to like recapture sight of the drone again. There's like a tree in my way, so I can't quite see. And as I start walking, I look down at the screen and bosh, crash. I see it hit something, it kind of spins a little bit, then falls, and I'm like, it's in a tree. The drone is in a tree. Honestly, I wish I had audio recording of me at the time, because it's literally just me going, no, please, no. Like, pure panic. It was awful. There's a few times in my life where I felt panic like that, and I was like, I kind of ran back to Mrs. Charm. I was like, we need to go around there, and she was like, go on then, I'll grab the stuff, and I'm like, no, you've got to come with me. Anyway, we go around there. This is maybe like 5 p.m, 4 p.m, 5 p.m, something like that. We walk around as quickly as we can. We kind of got to go around. I know exactly where the drone is. I know exactly what tree it crashed into. It just turns out I just didn't have the drone quite high enough. I should have gone higher. My lack of confidence in flying it, my unsurety, my my lack of experience. If I'd have been more confident in taking it higher, it would have been absolutely fine. But I didn't. It clipped the tree, and it's in this tree, and it's like this tree is like thick. It is a thick, bushy motherfucker, and it captured the drone. It like swallowed it up. So we go around, and we're trying to see it, and there's a function on the drone where you can get it to beep and flash to try and find it. So I was doing that, and I look up through the branches, these thick branches. It is high up there. It is high up there. 9, 10, 11 meters is high. This tree is big, it is bushy, and the drone's stuck up there. So we start getting twigs. As if my being embarrassed in public isn't enough for me, I start getting twigs, logs, whatever I can, and I'm just like throwing it randomly up at the tree. This tree is so thick that every big stick that I threw up there remained up there. It never returned. And it was like very much a, we were reaching here. We were reaching about like, it would have been a miracle if we'd have hit this with a stick and it had come down. The tree was so bushy that if we hit the drone, it probably would have just gone down to the next branch and the next branch and the next branch. Anyway, around the tree there's all these like, it's this quite rural place. So we're walking around the tree, and as we're walking around the tree, my foot goes down like a pothole, and I roll my ankle. Whilst all of this is happening, it has become pitch black. It's got so dark so quickly, we can't really see what we're doing. I twist my ankle, and Mrs. Charm's like, look, we're not getting this tonight. Let's not worry about it. I was so sad I just felt sadness. That's what I felt. And Mrs. Charm was making really great points about, look, this is just a material thing. You've got the insurance on it. We'll sort it out. It's like such a positive mindset. But I was sad. She was gutted for me, and then I had rolled my ankle as well. This is about the 4th time that I've hurt this ankle. It's already weak because I've twisted it really badly a couple of times. But I twisted it again. So now we're on our kind of a gift from our wedding day for my birthday, for us to get away, this beautiful hotel, and within about 15 minutes of being there, we've lost a brand new gift. I've had this gift for less than 2 days, and it's gone. It's in a tree. So we go back to the hotel, and again, I don't have certain things. I just struggle with confidence. I don't want to go and talk to. I'm embarrassed to go and talk to the hotel reception and say, "Can you help us?" So Mrs. Charm does it, and he tells us to go to the visitor centre the next day. And then we go back up to the room. We're just watching some TV and chilling, but we're also both looking at like whether anyone else has lost drones in that specific park. And whilst we're doing that, we discover that the park doesn't allow drones. Again, I'm a noob. I should have read. I should have looked. Do they allow it? Is it? Because what I don't want to do is, I know lots of people go, oh, well, I can fly here, I can fly everywhere. I don't want to upset people, who run the parks and whatever. So it's another layer of like embarrassment on top of that I've flown the drone and lost it in a place where I shouldn't have been flying it. Anyway, we move. We have, as part of our thing, we have a bottle of champagne. So we have a bottle of champagne, we go down and have a wonderful meal. My starter was basically a whole loaf of bread, which is, an absolute dream for me. We have a beautiful meal, we have a couple of drinks, we go back up to bed, go to sleep, wake up the next day, room service breakfast delivered. But there's this underlying we made jokes about the drone, we laughed about it, we tried to stay as positive as we could, but there's just underlying tension and anxiety about it. So anyway, the next day, we go to the visitor centre. We go back to the tree to see, as the drone magically dropped out. I couldn't fly it out, I couldn't do anything, it was upside down in the tree. Is the drone, has the drone magically dropped out? No, nothing. Can we still see it? Yes, we can. The battery's dead, we can't make it flash, we can't make it beep. We head to the visitor centre and we explain what happened, and the guy said, let me just go and talk to someone. And the woman comes out and she's like, first of all, we don't allow drones on site. And if our response was anything other than what it was, I think it would have gone a different way. But we just said, you know what, we've only had this thing for 2 days, it's just completely my fault. We didn't read before, we absolutely should have. I'm really sorry about that. Very apologetic, very kind of sheepish. And I was really worried that they just wouldn't know how to help us, they wouldn't be able to help us, or wouldn't be willing to help us because we shouldn't have been flying the drone there. Anyway, the lovely woman who runs the park there said, these are the only way you can get it out. We can't help you get it out, but the only way you can get it out is to call our forestry contractors. Are they called arborists? The people who do tree surgery and stuff. This is our contact. These are the people who do it for us. Contact them. But she's like, listen, they might charge you 500 quid or something to do this, and I've got a cost in my head about what it will cost me to replace the drone through the insurance. So I know it has to be below that. There's also a memory card in the drone that's another 50 quid on top of that. So again, I'm panicking. I'm panicking about the cost it's going to be to get it back, that it's lost, that I'm upset about that I feel like an idiot because I've crashed it, all of those things. So she tells us who the contractor is, and I get the number, and I can't call them. I have to get Mrs. Charm to do it. I don't know what it is. I struggle to call them. So she calls them. It's Sunday. They're not open. They give an emergency number that you can call. And again, I'm like, do we really want to be... Is this an emergency? Is that the right phrasing for what's happened here? I've been an idiot. I've lost my drone. Do I want to be disturbing these people on a Sunday to come and help me get a drone out of a tree? So again, I have to depend on Mrs. Charm to call them for me. So she gets a mobile number off their site for emergency call outs. Phoned the guy and he's like, can you send us the details? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we can get someone out today, blah, blah, blah. He's very quick to say we can get someone out today. But he doesn't mention the cost and she doesn't ask. So me, like a proper passenger princess, sitting there going, like, I'm not willing to phone them, but like, why have you not asked them the cost? Why have you not let me know what that is? So anyway, we're waiting. We send the details, send the pictures of the tree, etc. And then another guy calls Mrs. Charm back and he said, yeah, I can come out today. I can't hear the other side of the phone, but I see her nodding along saying, it's in this tree, this is where it is, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, you can come out today? Perfect. Blah, blah, blah. How much will it cost? I can't hear what the other guy said. But she's like, yeah, fine. So I'm like, God, what has Mrs. Charm just agreed to? What has she said? What has she agreed to in terms of like what we're going to pay to get this guy? She told the guys on the phone, this tree is not climbable because it's such a big, tight tree. Anyway, this guy comes out. I'm expecting him to come with a big pole and just poke it out the tree. He comes full high vis, big rucksack on his back. And out of it, he pulls out climbing gear. And Mrs. Charm's like, you're not going to climb that tree, are you? He's like, yeah, of course I'm going to climb the tree. What else would I do? It's so simple to him. This guy is like Spider-Man. I had tried to climb this tree the night before. I had slippy shoes on, I twisted my ankle, there was a lot of things going on. I couldn't get up the first bit. The bit that I couldn't get up, he was up within about half a second. And he shoots up the middle of this tree. He's got all of his climbing, he's doing all mad stuff with ropes, who knows what's going on. He climbs right up to the centre and then abseils back down. This guy is a magician. Unbelievable. It was like, this must be costing us hundreds of pounds. The skill that this guy's had. He's come out from his house, he's driven 20 minutes on a Sunday. He's got all his climbing gear on. He's climbed a big tree in the cold. Before he started climbing, he did one of these. One of them and one of them. That was it. That's all he did. And then he was up the tree. Gone. So he's up the tree. He gets the drone. He abseils back down. He's hanging from the tree, and he just hands me the drone like it's nothing. Drone's undamaged. One cracked propeller, very easily replaced. And he jumps down. So to come out on a Sunday, all of that should have been more than the cost of the drone, in my opinion. £30. That was it. £30 this man charged us. And he fully climbed up a big tall tree, a high tree, to get this drone back. And you'll see how high the drone was from the footage. And it just absolutely flooded with relief. But the interesting thing about it for me, it was a lack of experience, but also a lack of confidence. Because I didn't want to fly the drone too high, I didn't want it to go too far. Lack of experience and lack of confidence that caused that drone to crash. But it forced me into a position where I was in all of these uncomfortable situations. It was on our mind so much that when Mrs. Charm was sleeping, she was having dreams. One of the dreams she had is that she got bit by a snake. It turned her into a snake, and then she crawled up the tree and nudged the drone out. That was one of the dreams she had. It pushed me into all of these situations where I was uncomfortable. And I didn't really succeed in any of them because I had Mrs. Charm there as a backup that she could go and do the stuff for me. But I was in so many uncomfortable situations with, talking to the staff about the fact that I'd done something that I felt like I shouldn't do, asking for help from people, calling people, all of these uncomfortable situations. So in order to try and make up for that today, I've just sat in a cafe for the past 30 minutes. I'm surrounded by people, and I've got my camera on me, and I'm talking to it. Honestly, this feels like a breakthrough for me, because this is a big fear of mine of embarrassment and getting in trouble. I've got a big fear of getting in trouble and being embarrassed. So this is a big jump for me. So the drone is back. And there's a hard lesson learned there about flying it and how to fly it and what to do and how to check and keep your eye on it and all that stuff. But 2, in leaning into uncomfortable situations, because that's where the gold is, I think. I feel like I'm just being tested and prepped. End of last year, early this year, so many things have really like pushed my buttons and tested me to go like, you need to get this shit in order. You need to prepare yourself for this stuff because it's not going to be easy. So here I am preparing for it. 30 minutes in a cafe, in public, talking. Pretty well, might I add. And nobody's said a single thing. Nobody's batted an eyelid. So there you go. Guys, please do hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you guys very much. And I'm super grateful for you. There's lots more great content coming. And this is a big moment for me. I'm so grateful for you. See you guys on the next one.